So what should be the first day back at school has descended into chaos at Job Rathebe Junior Secondary School in Soweto. Parents and the school governing body are protesting against issues of lawlessness, the deplorable state of the school premises, as well as learning conditions. All right, let's go live to Aviwe Mtila, who is there. Actually, he is about to get a briefing from those who had a meeting with the Education Department, Provincial Education Department spokesperson Steve Mabona, as well as the SGB. Let's quickly take a listen to what that concluded.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Let's start with our briefing. As you know, we started here very early in the morning after a disruption as a result of concerns coming from parents. So we have the Chief Director who's going to lead us, and the SGB is here. They will also indicate on the progress that we have made. But what is encouraging is that schooling continues.
Thank you so much, Steve. My name is Dennis Makwakwa. I'm the Chief Director for the Johannesburg region. Yes, indeed, we had a very bad start this morning at Job Rathebe. Remember, it's the first day of the third term, but unfortunately, because of the concerns that parents were raising around the school, they resorted to shutting down the gates. Indeed, when we arrived this morning, gates were locked, but we managed to negotiate with the SGP and the community leaders to have a meeting so that we can listen to their grievances. Indeed, the meeting sat and we listened to the grievances, and some of the grievances that they were raising are really serious. They range from issues of leadership in the school in terms of management, issues around governance, infrastructure, security, and many other issues. And we did acknowledge that, yes, indeed, as a department, there are areas that we did not address adequately, but the meeting progressively took a decision to say we needed to form a task team. That task team is going to then look into all the areas that were raised by the SGP and the parents. In the task team, we have the SGP members, we have got members of the community, we have members of the unions and learner formations. So from tomorrow, we have given ourselves 14 days to resolve some of the challenges that are facing this institution. And after 14 days, we'll be able to report back to the parents. But I must indicate that it is encouraging that some of the positive issues is that the department has finally appointed the service provider who will be coming in tomorrow to start with the fixing of the ablution facilities. The department is also going to appoint somebody who's going to be a caretaker principal whilst we resolve these issues. That person will be from my office because I've taken the responsibility to work with the school and support them in ensuring that there's stability in the school. And I'm hoping that the resolutions that were taken this morning are going to assist us to actually make sure that come the end of the year, all learners in the school pass as expected and there will be stability in the area. I must say on behalf of the department that some of these issues really are areas that we should have managed them differently. But I think with the task team that is in place, we will be able to resolve some of these challenges because in the main, it will be issues between the SGP, the department, and the learners, and we will want to come up with a solution that is everlasting so that it does not repeat in many other schools. So I want also to applaud the SGP and the community for also allowing us to start with teaching and learning as we speak. All learners are in class, all the teachers in class, there's teaching and learning taking place. We are going to come up with a catch-up program for the hours that we have lost this morning so that no learner is disadvantaged because of what happened this morning. We will be able to give feedback, as I've indicated, in 14 days, and we're hoping that we'll get the support of the community and all the parents of this institution, which is Job Rathebe. Thank you so much.
Okay. As nguchepesino like aya ngithanda ukuthi ngibonge ubaba Makwakwa neteam yakhe since sivumelene ukuthi kuzoba nomuntu abazomappoint so then ukuthi isikolo sirane abantwana abathola imfundo umuntu besinenkinga ngayo kumphathi wesikolo yena angeke asareport la ekhaya but kuzoba nomuntu abazosinikeza ngithanda ukuthi sibonge sithemba ukuthi ingane zizothola imfundo ephambili ngiyabonga.
Okay, now let's Q&A.
Yeah, can we get clarity on the principal? Is she being suspended? Is she being fired? And we hear she was AWOL. Is there a reason why she hasn't been attending to the school. Can you give us more clarity on what's happening to the principal, given that you now have a caretaker principal?
No, we listened to the allegations that were leveled up around the principal, and we've taken a view that says we need to investigate those areas so that we can then come up with a pronouncement as whether she is suspended or what. But for now, we're just taking those allegations, we're going to investigating them, and from there we'll be updating the community what is the decision of the department around that particular area.
Have you been aware that the principal was not coming to school, or the issues that have been raised by the SGB in terms of her presence at the school? I understand, have you been aware as the district what's been happening at the school?
Yeah. As I've indicated, we are going to investigate all those areas to see what was the cause of her absence, if indeed there was this pattern of absenteeism. But for now, we're just receiving information from the district director who will be giving us any report around that. But my office is committed to ensuring that we investigate all the areas and advise the district and the principal accordingly if there are any other areas that needs our attention in terms of intervention. Thanks.
Was she part of the meeting here today? Does she know that she's possibly suspended, or what's happening with her future?
Unfortunately, the principal was not part of the meeting today, but I must indicate that from our side, there's no suspension of the principal. As I've indicated, we're going to investigate even today why is she not at school today, and we'll be able to make an informed decision after we've investigated everything.
If she's not suspended, is she supposed to come then tomorrow? Will there be two principals if you're going to appoint a caretaker principal? Maybe clarify what's going to happen going forward.
Can we leave that to the task team to come up with a recommendation in terms of that area? Because as I said, we don't know exactly what are the reasons. But remember, even the person that is coming here is a temporary measure just to make sure that there's stability in the school and the school is functional. Other than that, we'll be able to come up with a way forward that will make sure that the school is stable.
Right.
The condition of the school, have you seen it yourself? The library is in shambles. The bathrooms, I heard you mention that someone will be coming in tomorrow, but really it's a deplorable, and it's so sad given that the infrastructure is actually quite well. It's a maintenance that's lacking. And I hear it's not the only such school. What are you doing as a district in terms of prioritizing the education of the learners, given that they study in such shambles when there is proper infrastructure?
Yeah. In fact, we have taken a walk around. You have seen some of the areas that are not up to scratch. But I must indicate that other than that block of pollution facilities, there are pollution facilities that are functional. That is why as a department we have appointed a contractor that will come on site and make sure that they deal with those particular issues. But I'm also encouraged that within the community, within the structures that we elected today, there are those NGOs and structures who are prepared to work with the school. Because remember, one of the challenges that we all have is also community involvement in ensuring that the school is protected, the school is safe. We have received report that even the community sometimes do not take care of the school. But because of the gaps that we have discovered in terms of management and governance in particular, we should be able to resolve that so that this must not resurface again.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, Maseko, that's the end of the official media briefing that we just got here from the district itself. You heard there that the principal was not part of the meeting. It's unclear that if she's been suspended or not, or the future of the principal that's been AWOL at the school. Still unclear. There's been a task team that's been set up for the next 14 days to investigate some of these allegations that have been exactly happening here. But in fact, in the interim, I want to get reaction, Maseko, from a member of parliament to understand what's been happening. Makumalo. Dr. Kumalo, thank you for joining us at eNCA. You were part of that meeting. Are you happy as a member of parliament hearing the outcomes and the principal not even being there at this meeting? What's your reaction?
I'm definitely not very happy. There was a consensus, it was a meeting, and a democratic decision was taken. I will be a part of that task team, and I'll make sure that as far as I'm unhappy, those issues and that actions come up. I mean, it is unacceptable in an education environment with a background myself in academia that the school principal or the head of the institution is inaccessible most of the time, off on leave most of the time. I mean, also, I think if you look around the infrastructure here, I think what hurt me the most as well, which was not spoken about and is given 14 days, and it just kind of shows you the kind of attitude that we have as a country towards some of the ills. Gender-based violence, for example, the girls here have to use the fields because there's boys with guns that stand in the bathrooms, demanding 2 rands for them to use the toilets, and they end up using the fields, and we end up having rape and gender-based violence. And for me, I think a top of priority that should be, something that is being addressed with immediate effect. So in that regard, I'm completely unhappy to learn of the inaccessibility of the leadership of the school, as well as the danger, the health challenges and dangers that our children are actually placed under.
This is shocking revelations that you're giving to us in terms of what the females suffer at the school in terms of going to now the fields to go relieve themselves, for example. Maybe give us more insight on what was said around the principal. Why has she been absent? We didn't get much detail from the district itself. Is there any indication why she's been absent?
The allegations are saying that she's been absent because she's been sick at some periods, and after her illness, to celebrate her recovery, she, her family and loved ones organized a trip for her to Dubai, and that also happened during working days and not outside of the working days. And so that already creates a huge worry. And if indeed, the principal, we need clarity as well that hasn't been given around the amount of days that she's been off sick. And from what we hear, it does exceed the amount of days that are allocated to employees over a 3-year period, which would then also, need for the department to tell us, is she medically incapacitated or has she been medically boarded, etc. So that clarity also hasn't been given from the meeting. Those questions were asked, and we do look forward to hearing a little bit more insight into that particular issue.
And then just lastly, as a member of parliament, does not all of this concern you, given that it took a protest and a shutdown by the community just to raise the issues of what we think is a proper school, given the good infrastructure it has? I'm wondering how many more are there around the country that face similar situations that don't come to the fore?
Absolutely. That's the unfortunate reality of our country. Our government reacts. That's how we work. So we wait for a disaster before we can act. We sit in, people sit in the offices knowingly exactly what the challenges are on the ground, but we wait for a disaster first before we actually act. I mean, the challenges and that the school experiences here are not from yesterday. They're not from last year. Some of these challenges have been long going for many, many years, and so we waited for the children to be deprived of their education before anybody could actually take this seriously. And where we are now, give themselves 14 days to finally come up and resolve all the issues that have been raised, which is really, really unfortunate.
All right, thank you very much. That's one of the members of parliament, Dr. Khumalo. After, of course, we heard that there'll be an interim caretaker principal taking over as investigations continue for the next 14 days.
All right, senior reporter Aviwe Mtila in Soweto. Let's quickly take you to the Eastern Cape now. These have live